6 days away from the NFL season. I can't believe it. I can't believe we're that close, and we are getting there. And definitely a lot to talk about. And we're going to be going over the running back room, and probably one of the most special rooms I've seen in a while. I think it could be one of the most special in the league. I feel like there's a lot of different skill sets here. Howie made a couple good trades, couple good signings. And obviously, we've had Kenneth Gainwell here. Boston Scott signs a 1-year deal. So obviously, with the group that we have, there's a lot to look forward to going into this season. And I think the number one reason to this, or the main goal for this running back room, is health. So let's get into it.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So I want to go over the running back core. We have to go over everything here. We're 6 days away from our first regular season game. Obviously, everything starts Thursday night, but I'm very excited. I can't wait. And going into, obviously, this season really started with Miles Sanders leaving in free agency. And on Boston Scott, ended up, left for a second because obviously his contract was up. I think he signed a 1-year deal last year as well. And we kind of were looking for questions on, the Eagles aren't really into signing running backs long term. And the league is turning more into a running back by committee. I think we all know that at this point. You don't want to pay a running back $12 million, $16 million a year. It's just not going to happen. And the Eagles have no interest in that. But after this year, it could be totally different, which we'll get into that later on. But to get into the running backs, I think you have different skill sets here, especially Kenneth Gainwell. And let me mention Kenneth Gainwell first before people that get mad at me, because everyone thinks that, as soon as we sign the other running backs that we have right now, I've totally ignored Kenneth Gainwell. He means nothing to this running back core, which is not even true, because as a 5th-round pick from Memphis, Kenneth Gainwell has done fantastic. Now, do I think he has like this special running skill set of a special type of back? No, I think he's very, normal. I think he's an average to good runner, but I don't think he's got some special running skill set. I think he just works really well in this offense, and especially with Brian Johnson, the way he's going to use these running backs this year is going to be a different thing. Kenneth Gainwell is great, in open space, makes the one guy miss 9 out of 10 times. He'll make the first guy miss. Okay. He really has been the receiving back to this team. Okay, and he is getting better every single year. More opportunity, because when Kenneth Gainwell got to the playoffs this year, he had a pretty good year. He got to the playoffs, he exploded. I mean, he just had such a great playoff. Obviously, the Super Bowl wasn't much of anything because all these running backs didn't really get too much of a chance with carries, regardless, not even equaling to 40 to 50 yards, something like that altogether. But regards to like the playoffs in general, before the Super Bowl, I thought he did really well. And, was really, Miles Sanders wasn't really trusted in the passing game too much. Ever since really the first, his rookie year was great. The first to 2 middle years was really drops, fumbles, and injuries. And then the last year where you have a running back that got 1,000 yards in Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell right behind him and did very, very well. So Nick only trusted Kenneth Gainwell in the passing game and did a few things with him. But I think Gainwell, and don't take me out of context when I say he's an average to good runner, because I think he is a good, like Wendell Small was a very average runner, but he ran with fire in his eyes. I think Kenneth Gainwell does the same thing here. Like I said, the one element that we're missing from our offense is getting more of these running backs into the passing game, having more variety of running backs getting into the passing game. Even when Brian Johnson was at Florida, did the same thing with his running backs, and there's a lot of good things to take out of it. So Gainwell is just getting better. His contract is obviously dwindling down right now, and Eagles will have to make a big decision in the next couple of years going forward. So in the rotation-wise, is Kenneth Gainwell the starting running back to this team? Statistically, with Elliott Shore-Parks, what he said, and obviously everyone is keeping statistics about all these running backs, how they're treated during training camp, which I can't take too much out of it because the Eagles aren't going to give away who their starting running back is, okay? I think Gainwell could be a starter here, but obviously it's going to be shared carries. I don't think Gainwell is he can't go to another roster and be a guy that takes the bulk of the carries. It's just not going to happen. It's a running back by committee at the end of the day. You want to keep all your running backs healthy. You don't want to put too much wear and tear on one running back to the whole season. Okay, I'm not saying it's going to be perfectly balanced, but it's going to be somewhat, you have to give or take, you have to switch some guys in and out for specific plays. And usually with the Eagles, what they do, especially with the running back coach right now, he will just throw in a specific running back for a certain player, how, he feels for the skill set for that specific play is going to work out. It's kind of what we did the same thing with Deuce when he would just throw random running backs in there whenever he felt like it. But Kenneth Gainwell, definitely a lot of high hopes for this season and has become a very productive back for the Philadelphia Eagles. And really my favorite, I think I have a lot of favorites going into the season, and when you see new faces, you're just excited. And with DeAndre Swift, it's been the most exciting, okay? After, really the draft, okay, during the draft, the Eagles traded a fifth round, a fifth rounder, fourth rounder, whatever it was. I mean, nothing. I mean, a 24, 25, fourth rounder, fifth rounder. I forgot. It's been so long, I forgot even what the trade was. But it was absolutely nothing. The Eagles get a guy that obviously missed 3 games last year, but at the same time, his running skill set, I think he is a bigger back. He is the most explosive back in this Eagles offense, or at least with the running backs in general. The most explosive back, no joke, can cut on a dime at 100% speed. I think when it comes to running backs in the league, I think DeAndre Swift ranks really high when it comes to his vision. I think he has elite vision. I think he sees things before they happen. And you have a top 2 offensive line right in front of him, as well as these other running backs. This offensive line does help a lot. Okay, Detroit, not the best offensive line, obviously was sharing carries last year. You know what I mean? So, and the big trade that happened with the Eagles, the Lions went a different direction where they kind of, went a different direction at running back very early with a top 13 pick, getting a running back. 2 running backs went top 13, top 15, whatever it was, and it's just, he wants to be the focal point of this offense. Now, I think that Swift is going to be the focal point here. I really do. I mean, the Eagles barely even played him in preseason. Like, after that cut back in the backfield and ran for all those yards, I mean, that's just the sample size. That was with the second offensive line that he did that with, okay? The second offensive line against the Ravens, the first preseason game we had. And after that, they took him right out. It was like 2 plays. He was out. He was done. They're saving him for the regular season. Okay, Swift in the passing game, you could line him up. They've lined him up as a wide receiver. They line him up with Dallas Goedert to the right side. They've done so many different things with him. Who is obviously the running back that's been passed to the most in training camp? DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift has been, and it doesn't mean that they're not going to run with him. It doesn't mean he's second string. It doesn't mean, it's a rotation regardless of what's going on. Swift is going to have, Swift obviously, from Philadelphia, okay? DeAndre Swift knows the city. I think it's about time that he plays here. Never thought it was going to happen. And yes, he missed a few games last year, 3 games last year, which ain't no biggie, just from a small little injury, whatever it was. But I think Swift has a big chance this year. I think all-purpose yards he'll have 1,000 easily, because between his catching and between his running style, I think he's going to have over 1,000 very early. I think pure rushing yards, I think there's a good chance, too, with him that he'll get over 1,000 yards this year. Staying healthy is the number one thing with all these running backs, especially with Swift. He's dealt with injuries in the past, and 24 years old. It's not like you're trading for a 29, 30-year-old running back that used to have its good days behind him. You know what I mean? You're trading for a guy that's still a fantastic player in this league, and yes, there's a lot of what-ifs. There's a lot of he's got to stay healthy this year to really produce, and I think distribution and carries is really going to help that. But seeing him as a wideout is even better. So just say you don't want Quez. Just say you want to put Swift in there, and then they can put Rashad Penny. They could do different things with these running backs. Brian Johnson is going to open his playbook a little bit more this year, okay? Obviously, this is a pass-first team, as Nick said when he got here in Philadelphia. This offense goes through Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, and Dallas Goedert at the end of the day. Okay, we know this, but we are going to run the ball a lot too this year. And Swift, with this offensive line, he gets to the second level every single play. it's going to be unstoppable. And he is the home run hitter. Miles Sanders really wasn't that home run hitter. I think he tried to do too much. He danced around too much at times. He tried to get that big swing to get that big run and to get that, get an easy touchdown that way. With Swift, he's just got natural ability. I think he's the fastest running back on this team. I might be close to Boston Scott, but for his size and speed, it's absolutely amazing. Cut on a dime. I mean, it's change of direction. It's just so crazy. And Swift is carrying something on him this year. Okay, number one, he is the first number 0 for the Philadelphia Eagles, the first agent 0 for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think that's the second thing we have to think about is, do the Eagles just let DeAndre Swift leave in free agency? That's going to be the biggest question after this year. If the Eagles win the Super Bowl, the Eagles do some great things this year, which I have a feeling they're going to, okay? This is a big decision they're going to have to make down the road. There was already rumors, like when he was signed, like a month after, that there was rumors that there is somewhat of a trade, or this not a trade, somewhat of a re-sign in place for Swift, but I think they're waiting on this, see how he does during the year. It's going to be really tough for me to just go back to square one. You lose Penny, you lose Scott, you lose you lose Penny, you lose Scott, and you lose Swift in one shot next year, and then you're down to having Kenneth Gainwell back there all over again. The Eagles aren't interested in paying running backs too much, but if the Eagles and Howie Roseman, and they can work something out to where the cap hits won't be too crazy, and I think Swift has a big future here with the Eagles, like a 3-year deal, something. Don't even have to make it 4, make it 3 years, and if you want to add another year, you can later on. But I think you have a crazy talent. I've been so excited about DeAndre Swift since he's gotten here. The big surprise. I knew they were going to add a running back, whether it was through the draft, whether it's through trade or somebody. Swift became very selfless when he got to Philadelphia. He was asked about a contract during training camp. He was asked about these other running backs are complaining because they really want their money, and they have to realize that that phase of getting paid at $16 million a year or over that is not going to happen for running backs anymore because we don't treat it that way in the league today. It is a running back by committee. Swift says, I don't care about any contract. I want to help this team right now. I don't care what my numbers are. I mean, really, at the end of the day, guys, he's only like a 1.7, 1.8, 1.9 million dollars against the cap, which really isn't much. I think all the running backs combined this year, I think, are like 6 million against the cap. That's how crazy it is. It's crazy. You know what I mean? So, they're phasing. You don't want to put too much on a running back. It makes no sense to put all your money into a running back. It's to a point where you would rather pick up a 5th-year option or franchise tag a running back than actually give him an extension because it's in the long run, it's cheaper. Okay, and on top of everything else, like health is the main concerns. There's a very short shelf life on running backs coming into the league or being in the league in general. And Swift, got traded here. I don't know how much the Lions had respect for him and said, hey, Philadelphia is calling. Do you want to go? I don't know if I don't think so. I don't think it was. They were so happy to draft the Lions were so happy to draft the running back this year. The way they just like caressed, they hugged each other so much. They just celebrated like they just won the Super Bowl, drafting a running back early, which I thought changed the draft dramatically. And then Swift was like, all right, well, I'm going to go to Philadelphia and I'm going to play with a big chip on my shoulder. And I'm going to piss everybody off on why they shouldn't get rid of me, because I think he's wanted to be the focal point. I think he will be the focal point of this offense. I'm not saying he's going to be like, I think he just will get more carries than most. I think he will be used a little bit more than most of the running backs that we have right now. Okay, and I think Swift is just, this changes this offense with Swift. You don't understand. Like, I understand the trenches are important here. And Swift did a number on us even the first game last year in Detroit. Even last year against Detroit. Look what he did to us then, and that's not even the best offense. I mean, really, at the end of the day, like, I'm not even a fan of the quarterback in Detroit. I'm not even a fan of really that offense in general. And look what he did to us. Just imagine what he does behind this offensive line. It's just going to be amazing to really watch and see, Swift is one of my favorite players going to this offense. It's going to be a game changer, not only for running with the football, those jump cuts and just the way he changes direction, but in the passing game, he is so electric, just so electric. And I think it's going to make a huge difference It's another weapon. And just imagine, like, you spreading everybody out. Defense is spread out. You got A.J. Brown. You got Devontae Smith. You got, you know what I mean? You got all these, Dallas Goedert. You got everybody lined up. And, like, the check down to, just imagine checking down to DeAndre Swift one-on-one. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to catch this guy. The way he ran that ball, even against the Ravens, he ran so hard that he pummeled somebody at the end. I mean, this man is running with some purpose, and he's running with with something to prove. Like, you trade me? All right. Well, you're going to find out why you shouldn't have. And I just went to the best team in the NFC. You're going to find that out. I'm so excited for DeAndre Swift. So excited. I hope you guys are too. And obviously, Rashad Penny's another one where I wonder how they're going to use him this year. Is it going to be like is he a third down back this year? He can run between the tackles really well. If you ever heard Rashad Penny, actually, he lost a good amount of weight. He was like 235 to 237 when he was with Seattle. He lost a little bit of weight. And from what we're hearing so far, the Eagles health department has really been taking care of him very well. He's down to like 225, something like that, which is good. Feels lighter on his feet, not as heavy, and his body feels a lot better. This is the best shape. Apparently, he says this is the best shape he's ever been in an off season. And, Rashad Penny didn't play in that last preseason game, so we figured, we didn't know if there was a real competition between Trey Sermon and Rashad Penny. Rashad Penny didn't sign a big contract. It was $600,000 to like $1 million in incentives or something. It really wasn't much. You know what I mean? You got him out of nowhere. But he only played 5 games last year. 5. That's it. The good thing about him being hurt early last year was he had more time to get his body right. Because if this was a late injury, then he would have been still on course to return, but who knows how much time he would have missed this Eagles offseason. So when he signed, I didn't think that this was going to be over with. I forgot this was before the trade for DeAndre Swift, I think, if I could remember, correct me if I'm wrong. And I was like, oh, this is great because at 100% health, Rashad Penny, and he's done a number on us as well. Okay, this guy can run between the tackles really well. He loves contact. He's one of the best backs in open space. One of the best. Okay, he holds some records right now for yards per it's crazy what Rashad Penny could do when healthy. And that's if, the distribution of the football, and that's where that comes into effect of if you can keep this whole running back core healthy by the end of the season, okay, you got a very big diverse group of backs. Okay. And I think with Penny, he packs a punch. I think he'll be used on, third and short, something like that. I think there's a big spot for him there. Don't know how much they're going to use him in the passing game too much because I think Gainwell, Scott, and obviously DeAndre Swift are more of the receiving backs, but he's done it before. We all know this. They're even putting him on special teams as well, even on kick return because he used to do it in college, but he hasn't really done it since college. So we'll find out what happens special teams wise with him going forward. Obviously probably not my prime choice, but who knows what he's going to look like at that spot. So I think Penny's I think it's going to be a really good bruiser type, run between the tackles. And once he gets to that second level in open space, that next shift of speed turns right on, and he is just and he's gone. He's another home run hitter for the Philadelphia Eagles, getting to the end zone, could do it easily, and I think we just have to give him a chance. That's why I don't think Rashad Penny's not going to get a bulk load of carries every game, but he will, have his chance. When it comes to contracts, Rashad Penny is playing for himself. I don't see the Eagles re-signing him next year. It's just not going to happen. If I'm re-signing somebody, it's going to be DeAndre Swift, and that's what I'm really hoping that Howie changes his ways just because DeAndre Swift is 24 and the skill level is off the charts, understands the city, is from Philadelphia. Him and Jalen Hurts, the mindsets that they have just that read option, it's going to be real nasty. I don't know what these defenses are going to do, but it's going to be just crazy as of right now. So Rashad Penny is definitely one of those, exciting players that I'm pretty happy to see. I'm looking forward to it, and is playing for himself for a contract. And really, at the end of the day, he sat there and he was like, well, the Eagles have a lot of interest in me. I talked to my agent, and why wouldn't I go to the Philadelphia Eagles? They just got out of the Super Bowl. They still have a fantastic roster. They have one of the best offensive lines. What is going to be the best move for me to get a contract next year with another team? It's with the Philadelphia Eagles. It's common sense, guys. So Rashad Penny, how he's going to get used, It's going to be very, very interesting. I still really don't know how they're gonna use them. Eagles kept 4 running backs. I knew it was going to happen, but I just didn't think how is this going to happen? And, I think part of it is Boston Scott as well, because I think Boston Scott's not going to get phased out, but Boston Scott will prioritize himself because most likely he'll be a special teamer this year. They won't put him on punt return. He'll mostly likely be a kick returner. I don't think Boston Scott wants to play anywhere else. He signed a 1-year deal with the Eagles. He had a 1-year deal last year. 1-year deal. I don't think he ever wants to leave. I don't even care even if it's about money anymore. I think it's more loyalty than money. And Boston Scott brings something different. He's the giant killer. We all know this. Okay, so don't be offended. He's gonna get activated. He will be activated obviously every game, but he could be in that rotation. I don't think they're gonna use all 4 running backs. I mean, we'll find out what happens because trust me, I'll be looking at not only this defense really closely of what's going on, but this offense and how they distribute these carries is going to be a little interesting. We'll have a lot of videos to make during the week of how this running back core looks and who they're giving more of percentage of carries to. This is really Brian Johnson and the running back coach, and obviously Jeff Stoughton's the run game coordinator as well. So this is, it's going to be a collaborative effort, but we're going to see how the percentages of how many snaps that these guys get every game. I think with Boston Scott, he will have probably dead last of the carries, unless they want to use him for a specific game, or if there's injuries, guys, Boston Scott could always play more, which is fine with me. You know what I mean? So I have no issue with that. But yeah, Boston Scott in general, yeah, like I said, the value is there at special teams, and he only had really 1 good kick return last year. Let's be real. Darren Sproles 2.0, sure, but I don't think they'll ever put him at kick return at this point. At punt return, sorry, at this point. But yeah, I mean, he's got that sneaky speed, especially when you run screens with him, when you pass the ball to him, when you run the ball, you can't find him, and he's very tough. He's got that big lower body. We know we've brought in past running backs that were track stars. A.J. Killens was another guy they brought in from I forgot UDF. I forgot the school he went to. But he was another speedster, but he had a small lower body. He just didn't. He's not going to last in the NFL being that skinny, unfortunately. Wide receiver with Devontae Smith, yes, it's different in some cases because he can get the separation, get these catches. When it comes to running back, it's tough to last in the league taking shots when you weigh, 160, 170 pounds sometimes. You know what I mean? So with Boston Scott, I feel like you're just getting a lot of value here. And he always comes back every single year. So I didn't think you sign Penny, then they trade for Swift. I'm like, are they actually keeping 4 running backs this year? So, there's some good things to, kind of foment with Boston Scott. Very excited for him. And I think we'll have the less of the carries between all the running backs, but we may be surprised. Who knows? But we'll see. So, as a collaborative effort with this running back core, I think this is going to be a better running back core than 2017 by a long shot. Guys stay healthy. I think that's going to be the biggest concern. Swift missed 3 games. Penny only played 5 games last year. Okay, that's interesting. And, distribution of carries, how the Eagles are going to use all these running backs. It's a lot. What does Brian Johnson get up his sleeve with all of these guys? You know what I mean? I think you have speed. You have different size players. I think Penny is a bigger back with, runs between the tackles really well, great in open space. Swift is like the Swiss Army knife that is the jack of all trades that can do everything with size. And Kenneth Gainwell is a very consistent running back and can catch the ball in the backfield as well. You have a lot of running, and every running back here can catch the ball in the backfield. I think that's the main element that we were missing last year was the passing game to the running backs. Okay, that's the big one here. As much as I think the Eagles are going to do a lot of QB sneaks, which they're going to, they haven't knocked that rule down. They tried. The league tried to knock down the rule. Third and short. I'm expected to see Rashad Penny in there or DeAndre Swift or whatever's going on. You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting to see what the snaps of these running backs look like every single week, at least for the start of the season, how they're kind of thinking what they're doing with these running backs is going to be interesting. So other than that, that's pretty much it. I kind of want to go over the running backs in general. Do you think DeAndre Swift will get re-signed with the Eagles at the end of this year? What do you think the rotation is going to look like with this whole entire running back core? I think that's the most interesting one. And who do you think is the focal point of this running back core? Realistically, okay, I'm not throwing shade at Gainwell or nothing like that. And I feel like he could start. I think he's a valuable number 2 to to your running back core. So we'll play it fair because I think Gainwell is I think Gainwell's a better talent than Boston Scott. It just depends because they're both different size running backs. Okay. I think the most gifted running back that we have right now is DeAndre Swift. The better talent is DeAndre Swift. The second best talent is probably Kenneth Gainwell. The third is Penny, and I would say Boston Scott is the last. And I'm not saying that just because DeAndre Swift is first and because Gainwell is second and Boston Scott's fourth, I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm not saying they're bad at all. This is a good core. And I just, if I have to nitpick and rank them, that's how I just rank them. Just out of fun and entertainment, that's all I do it that way. But I think it will be DeAndre Swift, it will be Gainwell, it will be Rashad Penny, and Boston Scott last because he will do double duty on special teams too. So I want to know from you guys, what is the rotation going to look like? How are they going to use every player? I don't care how long the comment is. Put the comments down. I want to read them. Okay, if you lasted over 25 minutes of this video, I do appreciate it so much. And if you lasted this long, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video for more Eagles content every single day. 6 more days, and we are there, and we are ready to go. And let's get it. You guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you guys on the next one. Remember, shakes what up, follows live. Peace out, guys. Peace.